today, as you can see, to finally do the Q&A from before Christmas.
Sorry.
Get the chance to do it. Now we're going to Unboxing Day and just... that's where you ended up going home early, didn't you?
I didn't realise Nan and Pop were going to be here on Boxing Day. I didn't really think that one through.
No, I hadn't either, I don't think. Anyway, we're getting to it now, so that's good. Okay, so I've got a few questions, a few double ups, but that's fine. Okay, so the first question is from Cat Lover. It says, in a recent vlog I mentioned how you had lots of new hobbies and are interested to know what they are.
It's a good question. So the main one's crochet. That's been like my big thing, but I've gotten back into sewing somewhat. The difficult part about sewing is I don't have space to have a sewing desk, so the sewing desk is also the front table, and just the table, I guess, makes it difficult to work with. So like occasionally I'll clear it all off and do sewing, but I do like that. I've been doing card making, like paper crafting.
I've got lovely Christmas cards from Athena.
Yeah, I've been getting into like making jams and gardening, a lot of gardening, and like I propagate plants a lot. Like when we go walking, I collect cuttings of plants. Anything that is overgrown or not kept, I won't take anything nice. I don't remember we're talking. Sorry, I'm bad at this.
To our friends in the camera. I have to keep reminding your dad too.
I'm bad at that with people. I don't look at people when I talk to them either.
Yeah.
So
it's probably an autistic thing.
I know.
It's pretty common, isn't it?
And I think, and I want to look around. What else? I don't know what else I do. Dan will probably be good at this.
Sorry.
I've been just at everything really. I've got like I made wreaths for Christmas. Anything I have that like I try to make upcycle things. So like I have some ropes that I've collected from the markets, and I've dyed some of them with like natural dyes, and some of them are just cane colored, and then I'm stitching them into baskets and like little mats and things. It's going okay, that project. I'm not good at stitching, so it's messy. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. Mainly the crochet and craft and painting. I've been getting into painting. Everything. I got a big book from the op shop yesterday. After I went into the op shop, it was abandoned, so I was really lucky to go to op shopping with my support worker, and I got this big folder, and it was like a magazine collection, and so someone's collected all the different issues, and it's all in a binder. I think it was intended to do that, where like you bought a subscription for it, but it's got so many different types of craft. It's got things for like making like preserved flowers and things like that, like all these things I've been like, oh, that'd be interesting to learn, but I'd have to find a tutorial kind of thing, and it's just written really concisely in this book. So I'm very excited to go through that and do everything.
Yeah, certainly kept yourself busy, which has been good. Okay, Lost in Oz says, firstly, how is your health? Okay,
I don't know. It is, I think, typical of any person with chronic illness, where it goes up and down, it depends on the day. I don't know, I'm going, like I've just come out of ketamine, so that's like, pain-wise I'm doing well on that. My migraines are kind of starting to come back because I'm due for my Botox injections I get from my migraines. Mental health is iffy, but I think that's, again, pretty standard for everyone, I think, at the moment. Like going into it, like another somewhat like quarantine has been hard, not being able to leave the house and all that kind of stuff's just difficult, but it's not bad, it's just worse than normal, if that makes sense. I think I'm pretty good at dealing with it after years and years of dealing with like that kind of just not being able to leave the house depression. So I just do different crafts all day, and I change up my activities. If I'm up to it, I do some cooking.
I think good that you've gone into so much stuff, or it would have been a much harder year for you, I think, mentally. Yeah. Okay, I also asked, what do you sell at your stall?
We sell plants that we grow, and Dan makes the kokodamas, which are hanging plants. I don't know if Mum's shown hers or not.
No, I don't think I have actually.
But he's got.
I'll show it later on. I've got one hanging on the pantry door.
Yeah, Dan's got a bunch of a collection of them ready to sell when we go to market next. So they all look awesome, and he does some wall-mounted plants and stuff like that. He made natural like living Christmas tree decorations for Christmas, and things like that, out of like acorns, but also with old man's beard on them, and some really cool things. And then I crochet things, and that's mainly what we have. I make up little gift baskets as well out of the things that I make, and also things that I collect from second-hand stores that are all good to go. And then that's mainly.
You have to take some more photos of things that we can include.
Yeah, I sell cards as well. Like I've got, now that I've done that, like last time I had a few and then they stalled quickly. So I've made a whole lot more now. And it's mental. When I have enough sewing stuff when I finish making all the stuff for me, then I'll have things to sell.
Okay, and lastly, the last question for you is, what are your plans for the future?
I don't know. There's not really any at the moment.
It's a bit hard, isn't it, for you?
At this stage, like, at the moment, I guess my only really long-term goal is to try and fix up my NDIS program to get more support, so I can get my support worker to come more often, or another support worker. And then, because Dan wants to go back to school, he's doing going to do an agriculture course next month. It starts, so I want to do more independence, and then he can also, from that, means he can take on a job afterwards.
I think someone asked about Dan's job later on. That's a question. Okay, the messy scrapbooker asks, where are we? Was it a long process to obtain a diagnosis of autism? And I'll just read the rest of her question before it goes together. What are some of the clues to look for in their son? The therapist once thought he may be autistic. I was in denial at the time, but now wondering if she was correct. Also, is the diagnosis important, do you think?
Okay, I'll go through that again.
The first part was it a long process to obtain a diagnosis of autism?
I'd say for me it was quite short in comparison to what some people go through. I'd say maybe average, but on the shorter end, there's only maybe less than a year between me kind of me realizing I had sensory processing issues, and then a couple months later, then the autism kind of came into it, and then by the end of the year, I had a diagnosis. Yeah. But it was expensive. Yeah, well, so that's the thing. Like, it was quick, but only because we had the money. If you didn't have the money, it would have been a lot of time, even just to save up the money, let alone or to wait to see someone cheaper, or both.
I think the problem with the female autism, you've got to go to someone who specialises in it. Because when they did the standard autism test, you failed the test for non-autistic, which we knew wasn't right. Yeah. So
and in it they wrote things like I didn't stim, and I remember thinking the whole time that I was jiggling the table because I was stimming, like I was moving my legs so much, and that's how like a lot of women do that. They stim with jiggling. Christy does the same thing, and it's just common. They wrote I didn't stim at all, and I'm like, well, that just doesn't seem right, because I remember bringing it up in conversation that I was moving the table. Yeah.
So with all the reading we've done about female autism, we just thought it really... Sorry, I've got a phone call. And then we were talking about the diagnosis for female autism. Yeah, so we were pretty confident that Athena had it. So we ended up finding...
Or at least that the test wasn't well conducted.
Yeah. So there is a specialist, I think virtually the world specialist in female autism, the Tony Atwood, who works up in Brisbane. Yeah. So
we didn't see him, we saw someone in his clinic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Thea ended up doing a few phone calls with him, didn't you?
No, not with him. We saw
no, okay.
someone who trained under him, though, yeah.
With his clinic. Yeah. So Thea did a few phone consultations with them, and then we flew up and got a final diagnosis of autism.
So I think it was 2-hour-long consultations a week apart on online, a video call, then a 2-hour consultation in real life, and then another hour-long consultation afterwards to get the results and to go over anything. And that's like the minimum. If you need anything else, obviously it's another, and that's what the big cost is that just seeing the psychologist who does it? Psychologist or psychiatrist? I think psychologist.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think psychologist. I don't know.
So, but again, if you're looking for your son, it's probably going to be a lot easier because
they're saying that like
I don't know.
Yeah, it is easier, but also the more that you the longer it's been, the more that you develop ways to pass, and you do. That's the word, passing. I don't know. Like the
So do boys do that too?
Yeah, not as much.
That's like girls do a lot of
like copying. They're using the high functioning word. Yeah. A lot of kids who have like autism but don't get diagnosed till later, or they don't get diagnosed at all. Like even Dad probably would have got a diagnosis at young age, but because he was too high functioning and too good at masking is the word I'm looking for. Too good at masking. So the longer that you've gone, and the more social or the more successful at being normal, I guess, the kid that your son is, the more that it'll be hard to get a diagnosis from someone who doesn't know what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Like a specialist in like more modern, I guess, the more modern look at autism, which is more complex about the range of it, and the way it presents. Someone like that would see it.
So I guess the best thing, probably, I mean, the easiest way to look for clues would be to Google, I guess, symptoms or signs of autism in males. And they've got very comprehensive list, or there's videos on YouTube as well. So probably the best way to have a look for what you should be looking for.
Yeah. And as odd as it seems, I'd look at the female symptoms too, because they tend to show the other side, that it's more the mental side of autism. So those are things that I think a lot of guys experience, but when you talk about male autism, it's always about what happens to everyone else. It's never discussing what the experience is for the person going through it.
And the diagnosis is important. Well, it's been very important for you to have that diagnosis.
I would say if you're seeking any help through like any what's the word, corporation or company group that wants paperwork, then it's really useful. Otherwise, I would say it's completely irrelevant. Like socially, it means nothing to me. Like,
but
knowing means something. Like being aware of it, that helped a huge deal. And I was able to, like, I started seeing my psychologist about it before I got a diagnosis. Even I think I started working on different. I started working with my current psychologist at the time on just social interaction and things like that, and that was helpful, regardless.
But the best way it's helped Athena is you're able to get the NDIS through that, because fibro is not recognised as a disability in Australia. So like
on paperwork, my autism that's useful, but that diagnosis has been my ace in the hole a lot of the time with that. So
Chris here, I think Chris is kind of looking at a diagnosis, just to maybe if it helps more with the education. I mean, she goes through, I don't know what they call it at the university, but she already gets help for autism, I guess.
I think if you can afford it,
but even
it's not a bad thing to have, because it's useful to have a professional saying that this is true, and to just have that authority, rather than you saying, every time you go to someone you have to explain, well, these are the symptoms I experience and this is why I believe this.
But I think I think it's been good for you to know, and even for Chrissy to know, that they are autistic, and it does explain a lot of things, and therefore they can work on the problems that maybe society doesn't deal well with or cope with. Understand, they can try and work on things, or understand that those are parts of their autism and they're not just how everyone else thinks or acts. All right, we'll move on to Ash B. Asks, where did you and Dan meet?
We met online.
As most couples, I think seem to do
that's pretty normal
these
days.
And what does Dan do for a job?
He looks after me. So he used to work as a labourer, and then he stopped mainly to look after me, but it worked out really well because COVID hit just after that. So we actually got all his like paperwork in to be in my care officially. And we had, just at the beginning of the pandemic, we only had my income, but then because we got all the paperwork in early, a couple of weeks after everyone else had like done their job seekers, we got it anyway because we were in early enough. But carers takes a while, so it took 6 weeks, I think, about that to get it, which is like the longest it's supposed to take to get carers payments. So we were 6 weeks without that. But it's good though now that we have that, like reliably, like we can get by with that. You know, me on disability, him on carers, and then the little bit of extra income we get from the markets is helpful.
And do you still consider yourself non-binary?
Yes, I just don't try, to be honest, socially. Like I don't really socialize, so that makes it easy. And it's just too difficult to worry about it, so I just don't care. But like if people do use proper pronouns or make an effort to say things that mean, it's nice. It's really nice feeling. And I don't identify with, especially like girl, I don't mind so much, like the more younger terms, but woman and lady, I really just don't identify with it all, and it feels so foreign. Like girl I can deal with, but anything else is like too much. And
it's funny because I don't really refer to you as a girl, or the girls. I don't do that
like
anymore, but I still use the she, her pronouns. I've gotten very bad about doing that again. I've gone back to that. And a few people pick me up on it, or they correct themselves in the comments as well. So I think it's nice. But just gotten slack about that myself.
Yeah, I'm not fussed because it's one of those things that there's bigger problems in the world. I'm I'm busier arguing with people about sustainability now rather than pronouns and like that stuff. Not that it's not a problem anymore, but I'm just moved on to the planet.
Yeah, and that is an autism trait, isn't it too? Like being very passionate about a certain subject. Yeah. You've moved on to a different one at the moment.
New interest. New love.
Okay, how did you lose your weight?
I cheated and had surgery. But also,
cheating.
I know, I cheated and had surgery and then got ill to the point where I couldn't eat. So I was just sick and didn't want to eat for ages. And that's the biggest trick as to why the surgery worked as well. Actually, no, I did a lot of effort with...
it's not cheating. Yeah. It's not easy to have surgery.
I made a huge effort with my diet, and my diet now is very poor.
Your diet.
But when I had my surgery, I was very good at eating whole food, plant-based, and I was very good at making food prepped every week. We did a lot of cooking. Like, we did the retreat with Adam Guthrie, and that was really good. And like, I still use his recipes. I made khichdi the other day, which is the one you don't love, but me and Dan like it, so it's good. And like, I know, eating it that way was a really big help, and obviously not being able to eat a lot of it is helpful. But then I just lost my appetite because
that's how you lost most of your weight.
I did a surgery
and a big dietary change.
But then after about a year or so after the surgery, when all the nausea from the surgery has all abated and everything, I just got nauseous as its own symptom. It's not diagnosed as anything. It's either the theory between like my specialists and stuff is that it's either gastroparesis, which can't be diagnosed because I had the surgery and it's never going to show up on the test, or it's just a side effect of my POTS, which is also undiagnosed, but we're treating it and it's suspected. So it's that, and then that stopped me from eating, and so and then I had to focus on maintaining weight, and I was
losing too much weight for a while.
And I was losing weight unintentionally, which was like, and I was like slowed down from what it was after surgery, but I had to focus, and then my weight loss surgeon said to me, well, if you get down below 58, then you have to then come back and see me because it's too much. And then like I was at 60 kilos, and then after that I was like really focused on, I think I ate like junk food at the time to try and gain weight, but it worked. And then I've been eating, not poorly, but I've been getting slowly better. Christmas was bad, but that was okay. And I'm kind of going back to like the in-between healthiness level where most things are healthy, and then I'll have like waffles with Biscoff and strawberries for dinner.
Because of the nausea, Thea just has to eat whatever she feels she's able to eat. And
so like strawberries, for instance, I can eat strawberries, so if I can, no matter how I can eat them, it's good, and they've got nutrients. And so I try and eat vegetables and fruit and package them in different ways, and that's kind of my goal, is to not have just processed things and to get nutrients. And if I feel like I need protein, then I'll try and have something with protein, like baked beans and potatoes. Honestly, that's been a good thing. Off track, sorry.
Okay, are you studying anything now or considering studying anything in the near future?
I am enrolled in what's it called? I don't know what it's called. Textiles course in TAFE, but I do not know if I'll actually continue to do it because I've had trouble getting past the first part, which is all like the reading and paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm like...
Is that because it's all online, do you think?
Yeah, because it's all online, and if it was someone telling me and they told, like, all this in real life in a classroom would be done in a day in the classroom, and I'd only half pay attention, but I'd have a fidget and someone would be talking to me, and I'd be able to take in all the actual information. But online it just doesn't work that way, and I've done it, but I haven't absorbed any of it, and I can't remember any of it, and I'm like, no. And so I haven't gotten past that point to where I'm actually doing anything, and I just love my hobbies. And I've been, working on, like, when I feel like I can do work, I feel like I'll do Depop then, like I'll make, organize that, or I'll do, or I'll work on my website for selling things, and I want to do more, something that feels more productive than trying to slug through this report of things that I'm not going to remember or understand.
Yeah, so for the future, please not looking at anything like uni or anything. You haven't ruled, like last time we spoke, you hadn't ruled out uni in the future, but it's...
I haven't, At this point, it's unlikely. It's inaccessible for me in a whole lot of different ways. And with the state of the world at the moment, I don't want to commit to anything like that. Even if it goes back to in person, it's not going to stay in person necessarily. And that's, you know, like I was thinking earlier, like, well, should I go back to Spanish this semester? Just do Spanish, because I've like, you know, I started doing Duolingo a bit over Christmas again, and I'm like, oh, I miss this. But it's just not worth it, because it will become not fun again, and I don't want it to do that.
Can you just keep up with doing the Duolingo? Does that advance, or does that?
It does advance, yeah, but it doesn't. It's not the same as conversation. Conversing with someone, it really, like, it works well if I had a friend who would do it with me or something, but not really on its own.
Okay, and last question is, I think someone else asked this as well, but why did you change your name from Amy to Athena?
I didn't like Amy and I liked Athena. It's kind of that simple. Like, there's a whole lot of reasons I give, but it's pretty much boils down to I just didn't like my name. I don't know. I've never liked the meaning of it, which is beloved. I never liked that it was.
Athena wasn't named for the meaning.
No, but I just never liked that, and my nan always said that when I was younger, and I never liked that. It always felt weird to me as a kid, and I think just it was French, and I've never like, of all the languages I've ever learned, French is my least favorite. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm a big believer in descriptive language. Like, I'm a linguist at heart, and I love just the wonder of language and how beautiful and like weird and wild it is. And French tries very hard to have rules and not to change. And I think it's the opposite of what I love in language, and so I don't really love French. But,
so it just didn't feel like an Amy. Yeah,
and it just didn't feel right. Like, Athena just felt like it worked, and I was going by that because it was like what I liked in my friends and what our special interests at the time and what we were really into, and it just kind of stuck. And I liked the nickname. I liked that it could have a nickname. As much as I know Mum named me Amy because she didn't want me to have a nickname.
Yeah, didn't want to shorten your name.
Yeah, but I like Athena because it's still short on its own, but then it has a nickname. Yeah. It has many nicknames. So
I don't know why I was so worried. We give all how many nicknames the dogs have. Like,
yeah,
not even Christy's got a nickname.
I know.
So but we didn't shorten her name.
No,
we just gave her another nickname.
Yeah,
we used to call you Muffin when you were little.
Yeah, no.
All right, well, that's it with questions with Athena. So hope you've enjoyed.
Yeah.
And
sorry for my lack of eye contact and looking at the camera.
Well,
I'm trying.
You've explained why, so that is fine. And it's probably why your dad has trouble as well.
Yeah.
Alrighty, okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye.